Hi, everybody. David John and Krista Gano with Innovative Improv Solutions. Welcome to our Prov-cast. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be.
Hello. So
And go
so
ahead.
today, so today we are going to talk about something that a lot of people in business love talking about, ROI. They just like to talk about the ROI, the
Return
ROI,
on
David,
investment,
the ROI. But today we're going to talk about the ROI of play in the workplace and
which
what
makes
that
a lot of people in business think there's no ROI in play.
there's no ROI. It turns out there is ROI in play in the workplace. There's a few ways that it actually comes back, very t intangible ways to have your folks give them opportunities to play in the workplace. And we can talk about, David, what's the best way? Should I just list some things and we can start to chat, or do you have a thought of the way to talk about it?
Yeah, I think we can do that. I was just going to say, just to remind everybody, our workshops are all about bringing the thought concepts and principles of improv um, into corporations to help. And again, just we always want to remind people this is it's not an acting class, it's not an improv class. What you're what you're going to learn is because improv is nothing more than very heightened communication skills, right? You're going to learn how to communicate in a much more connected level and get to play while you do it. And we're going to list some of those things, like you said, but playing in a workshop or let's say laughing and having fun on your feet while you're learning helps things stick. So that's why we're talking about this today.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the returns on investment, David, that we're going to talk
There
about.
you
Look at
go.
that. Look at that. Is that it accelerates and actually makes learning sticky. And that is science, you guys. That's science. So one of the things we like to, when we work with people and they bring us in for an offsite, say, putting us at the very beginning actually helps the rest of the workshops, the rest of the stuff that you're doing through those 1 or 2 days. It increases that stickiness and that amount of learning that they walk away with. So that is one of,
Particularly if you have, yeah, that's one of the things. And
yeah,
particularly if you have people that don't, they may know of each other or don't know each other that well. What it does is it just gets people bonded so quickly. And when you're laughing and on your feet and active, as opposed to just sitting and watching a PowerPoint, the very, very first thing, it just gets people in a spirit of wanting to connect more. And like you said, I think it helps the rest of the presentations, the rest of the projects that they might be talking about or the activities stick, right? Stick with people.
right.
And they're
Okay.
and they're actually much more, I think it puts them in a, what's the word I'm looking for? It puts them in a an accepting place of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they're excited, they're ready to move forward. And then one thing you said is like especially if they don't work together in person as much or whatever, it increases that no just knowing everybody, but also that trust. And that is another return on investment because we know that teams that trust each other collaborate more effectively, they listen to each other, and so that is another return on investment. So we have two. It's like they accelerate the learning and it sticks,
Hmm.
and that you start the process of doing that really important work of getting a team to trust each other and to be able to work together more fluidly.
Yeah. You know what's really cool about it too is that I haven't talked about this in a while. It might be the first time on a Prov-cast, but what happens also is at the end of our workshops, generally we'll say to people, what you did today is something that a lot of actors won't even do because they're scared of it, right? Because it feels like you're going to be doing an improv class, even though you're not. But it is something that what happens is by the end of these workshops, people feel like they've really accomplished something. They've done something very different. They've gotten out of their comfort zones. They did it together, right? Had a good time doing it. And you know how important is it, number one, to get out of our comfort zones? Number two, when you accomplish something like that with other people on your team or in the company, it just it makes that connection level that much higher.
Yeah, which actually brings us to sort of that one of the other. You're doing a great segue game today, David. is is also that idea of like we want people to have brave communication, and that does not come without trust. So to think out of the box, to be more agile with your communication and your thoughts, like all of these things come from having a place where you can have a no judgment zone to practice that. And that is one of the great things that play does, is it allows people to have a space where they can try out new ideas, and that extends into the workplace and other functions. So the idea of strengthening the safety, so to speak, in within your team, so that they will try new things and that they will speak up and that will they all the fun stuff, I think, comes from, it starts in a place like this where people can laugh together. Laughing when you make a mistake, which is we do a lot of laughing when we make mistakes in our workshops, is a great thing to start to shift that culture that we always talk about, of being a place where you are not perfectionistic, where you're collaborating, where you can laugh with one another. This is a great way to do it that has, for the most part, very little to do with the day-to-day work a company does. They just get to come and laugh.
And what's so funny about it too is that our clients will say, okay, so what do we need media wise? Like nothing.
Nothing,
Wait, what about a PowerPoint? No, nothing. We just need some
nothing.
chairs. We just
We,
need some space.
yep.
And and then of course people walk in and they're nervous, and we get that. We totally get that. We addressed that in the beginning. But another thing that I wanted to say is that I don't want to put you on the spot, but have we talked about the retention yet? Like right
We
when
talked a,
people
yeah, we talked a little bit about, oh no, you mean in retention in the company? Because
Well, like when you do this workshop and we're talking about these ideas around communication, collaboration, problem solving, how to apply some of these things, because you're doing it in a sense of play and being active, the retention level is higher.
oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, that is true. As is, by the way, when you engage with play, the retention of your employees is also higher. Like
Mm.
there's some studies around that people who play in the workplace tend to have a happier work-life balance, and then they tend to leave less. And one of the things that I always find interesting is that it usually costs a company more money to replace people than it does to retain them. So this is a
Right.
really budget-friendly way of retaining people and your team, and having them feel valued. It's also a great way for you as leadership to look like a rock star. I always think that's a great way for them to look like they're really building trust, and that they we spend so much of our time at work. So having a place that says, "Hey, we really want you to laugh here and to bond with one another, and not be out of place between that work-life balance, but really put some thought into where the right amount of goodness, the stickiness to put into work." I think those are things that people look for nowadays when they're trying to find a company that they want to spend their time with for years and years, and they want to stick with, is like, how do I feel valued and how do I feel developed? And one of the things that play does from a development standpoint is it also helps to boost agile thinking, those collaboration skills. It increases mental agility, like all of those things that we want to have as we're trying to solve the world's problems. And I say that not that every company solves the world's problems, so to speak, but we are often trying to solve really complex problems as we're working globally, as we are working within team structures. These problems
Mhm.
can seem big, and agile thinking, collaboration, play can help you find unique solutions to those very real world problems.
And I think too, you as a leader, right? If you're a leader and you have that sensibility about you, a lightness, a playful quality about you, right? That will spread down through your team.
Yeah.
I also just want to say, I think we as adults, it's very common that we become adults and we think, oh, we can't play anymore. We lose this childlike thing.
Yeah.
And um, I have literally gone, there's a playground not far from me, and I will go there and I will sit on a swing and I'll start to swing. And I just forget how fun that is. And so I try to do that as much as possible. Go to sit on a swing and do something playful Um, because and then there's a reason too why I think that a lot of companies they'll have an area where there's a ping pong table, there might be a pool table, there might be these things for people to play. Well, what if you then carry some of that into your meetings, right? So it doesn't always just have to be, oh, we have to go take a break to go play. You can actually, there can be some of it, right? Certainly when it's brainstorming. Even, and like you said, if a mistake or problem solving, if you can laugh about it a little bit.
Yeah, and so the last thing I'll say about where I think play is really important is in, when, well, it all comes back to that bonding and really knowing each other as human beings, because I still, the number that they give out on how we waste money with emotional waste is
Mhm.
real. And for those who don't know what emotional waste is, it's the amount of times that the amount of time that your employees are sort of spinning in their own heads and wasting time because they're worried that Linda in reception is mad at them and they've got to talk to 5 people about it and they're not quite sure. So instead of talking to Linda and just actually having a conversation because they feel bonded and able to have that conversation, they are not working because they're doing all of the other stuff that they're doing to try to make themselves feel better in that moment. And we all do it. So that's,
Yeah.
Linda in reception does it too. Uh, so, but the idea, when the studies have shown that companies are losing millions of dollars in emotional waste every year. Not only are you losing money in emotional waste, but think about how badly all of those employees feel because they just can't have a simple conversation because they don't feel safe. And play is one of those things that just breaks through that and allows you to see each other as humans so that you can have those conversations and you build the trust so that when you have to say something that's tough, there's already a foundation there that says it's okay. I know we're all working towards the same goal, so we can have a tough conversation. And while it might seem counterintuitive, play is, I think, your starting line for that. To prepare your team for some of those other tougher conversations that may come down the road.
Yeah. And I think I'll just cap that with when you think about it, like you said, we live in our heads a lot and thinking and worrying about what to say to somebody or worrying about what to do or worrying about what we're going to do. Get into action. And
Yeah.
what our workshops do too, we take that instead of sitting around and talking about communication and all that and better, we get you into action to show you, right? And when you start to laugh and when you start, it helps the connection and it helps. So just overall, it's not only about play, it's like getting into action, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
and um, that that will feel a lot better at the end of the day than still ruminating about things.
Great point. That's a great point. Well, hopefully we're able to give someone, if someone is considering this type of work and you're thinking to yourself, how do I sell to my bosses a workshop where we're going to laugh a lot and play? Hopefully those will give you some ideas as to why it is a really great return on investment. And we'd love to come alongside you and help out.
Yeah, just put them in contact with us and we will sell it to them.
We're good at it.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So
right, get out there and play, everybody.